there, David with Zelectric here. And well, this one might look familiar. It was bombarding social media last year as a fundraising car for the Petersen Museum, and it's basically been in the Petersen vault since last year. They took it up to Pebble Beach, had Magnus Walker drive it, took it to a few car shows, but it hasn't seen too many miles. And it's back now with us because we're going to find a permanent home for it. The fundraiser winner of the car just decided to take cash instead. So I get to have the fun of doing a proper walk-around video for this car. It's such a fantastic car. The promotional videos that were done for it worked very well for the fundraiser, but they left out all the cool details that are in this car. It's so much more than just a Tesla-powered vintage Porsche. It's really an awesome car, and I'm gonna give you every single detail I can possibly think of that this car has to offer. So check it out. Okay, let's get the power plant details out of the way. This time we're using a Tesla Model S small rear drive unit. This motor has 300 horsepower and 243 pound-feet of torque, and it's absolutely perfect for the 911 or the 912. The first 911 we did use the full-size motor, and it was just nuts, really way too much power. This is perfect with the longer wheelbase of the 69 and these grippy 205 tires. I really can't get it to lose traction, and the 0 to 60 time is 4 seconds. Just a little background on the 912 and the 911. The 912 was the 4-cylinder version of the 911. Other than that and the badge and a small adjustment on the rear torsion bars, there's no difference in the car. In fact, the 912 was really considered back in the day to be a better handling car because it was better balanced. The 912 had a 4-cylinder engine, lighter weight. The 911 had the 6-cylinder, heavier in the rear end, and that got some people in trouble going around corners. That kind of all goes out the window with a Zelectric 911 or 912 because the car is better balanced. We're putting more weight up front, less weight in the rear. It's just a better all-around driving car. Before I start to geek out on all the nifty details in this car build, I really wanted to give you an idea of what it's like to drive a classic car that's gone Zelectric. This is my friend Mario, and we're going to take a little ride in a Tesla-powered vintage Porsche.
Oh! Holy cow, man! Are you kidding me?
All right. Here's the donor car. It's a one-owner 69 912. This one's in light ivory, and most of the paint is original. The glass is original, and so is the trim and the headliner, all original. The gauges and the dash, and even the houndstooth door cards and the houndstooth on the dash, they're all original to the car. Like I said, this was a one-owner car, and it spent most of its time in the California desert, and it was very well taken care of. There's zero rust. Even in the little 12-volt battery cubbies, no rust. It was never involved in any accidents. The hood and the front bumper were pitted with rock chips, and the Petersen decided to have those repainted. There's still a few little tiny paint chips and scuffs here and there, but super minimal. It really was well taken care of, and it includes the original driver's manual and a nice little stack of registration slips that the owner kept with the car. And of course, it still has the wonderful California black plates. Before we add any of our electric upgrades, we really want to make sure we're starting with a good, solid car. And that was a little hard to do here because the car had been donated to the Petersen and it had been sitting for some time in their vault, and it didn't have an engine. We normally work with specialty shops in the area that take care of all the mechanical issues with the cars, But the Petersen has its own in-house team of mechanics and historians and technicians, so they went through everything in the car and they replaced or refurbished whatever was needed. First up was the suspension. All new Elephant Racing sway bars and bushings and adjustable rear spring plates were added. New Bilstein shocks and the steering system, the control arms, the trailing arms, everything was restored. The brakes were upgraded with drilled and slotted rotors and M-steel calipers. And the wheels are a really cool, unique Porsche-inspired design from HRE Wheels. And they're wrapped in 17-inch Michelin 205s. And they just fit. 1969 was the first year the rear fenders in the 911 and 912s had a little flare to them, and this really takes full advantage of that extra space. As I mentioned before, we're using the 300 horsepower Tesla Model S motor, but we're not using Tesla batteries. And the reason for that is because the 912 is just too small to fit it in the huge Tesla battery. So we designed a smaller custom 400 volt battery that's split. Part of it is up front and part of it is in the rear where the engine was. It's a 32 kilowatt hour battery pack, and that should give you 130 mile range. 75 miles an hour and up, no problem. And we really like the smaller battery pack. The car handles better and it just adds a couple 100 pounds. Charging the battery happens right here. We're using standard J1772 charge port. So that means you can plug this into any of the thousands of public charging stations out there. And of course you can plug in at home with any production home car charger, or even just a standard 110 wall outlet. So here's your new digital fuel gauge that we added to the dash. And, we could have used an analog gauge with a sweeper arm, but I really like to know the exact amount in the tank. Other than the wonderful houndstooth dash, it's pretty much stock. The fan in the ventilation system works. There's no heating unit in this car, but that's something that we can add. The Petersen put in a custom AutoSound radio. It looks pretty stock, but it's got all the modern stuff we like Bluetooth and USB, and it can be a interface for like a more modern sound system. The interior has been all updated. First off, very adjustable Recaro seats in black leather and houndstooth. These sit a bit lower than stock, so even if you're 6'4", you're still going to have some headroom and legroom. The Porsche RS carpeting is brand new, but the doors and the headliner, those are all original. They're in perfect condition. The restored jump seats are in the back with a seatbelt delete just for a nice clean look. They do fold down flat, and there are new super secure 3-point seat belts up front. Let's see what else is going on here. Well, there's a really cool Momo steering wheel. And since this is a Tesla-powered car, form follows function, so guess what? No shifter. I mean, we could have fashioned one to work with the Tesla motor, but that motor really just wants to know if you want to go forwards or reverse. So there's just one gear, there's no shifting, and I really don't like taking something that was so interactive like the shifter and just having it stand there 99% of the time. So shifter delete. We're just finishing up a new forward reverse gear selector, and this is something you're just going to use in a parking lot or when you're starting the car. So from the outside, there's zero indication that this is an EV. If you do look closely, you will see the tailpipe delete plate. And there are some indications that something else different is going on here. The wheels, of course, but also we have these beautiful projection LED headlamps from 911, and also a pair of auxiliary rally lights. They were on the car. Back in the day, it needed it. You don't really need it now, but they look cool, so we left them with the car. Just every bit of trim on this car is in great shape. It's all original to the car. I mean, there's some very minor scratches here and there, but I mean, come on, we're 50 years old here. We have a few wrinkles, right? Every corner, every gap that you peek into is really clean and tidy. The doors and the windows line up perfectly. There's no whistles. The locks and the tumblers and the latches, they've all been gone through by a classic car restoration specialist. We bring in specifically just to sort out all this tiny little important stuff. And that makes a huge difference. Driving this vintage car just makes it more drivable, more agreeable. You know, the rest of the time, this car is simply super easy to drive. I mean, there's no shifting. You have regen braking, and that's like having power brakes in a vintage car. It really handles better than a stock 912 or stock 911. The battery weight and the wider wheels really plant this car to the ground. The updated steering, suspension, the brakes, they're super responsive now, and it's just a real blast to bomb around all the back roads and city highways or even to the grocery store. I mean, it's as much fun driving this car slow as it is fast. Have you ever driven a manual transmission car in traffic or parking garages? This is so much better. It can totally be used as a daily driver. That's kind of the whole idea behind what we're doing here. Oh wait, there's one more thing. Come on around back here. Ta-da, a trunk. Thanks for watching this far. If you're interested in this car or maybe something else, the best way to get in touch with Zelectric is my email, and that's david@zelectric.com. If you want to come down and check out the car, now you know how to get in touch with me. Come on down to San Diego. See ya.